is Speaking with Gravity, a podcast where we talk about mental health and how everything affects everything. Each episode, the goal is to have a conversation that will make you think, make you feel, and make you do what is best for you. This isn't therapy, it's just a podcast.
I'm Garvey.
I'm Joshua.
And I'm Cheryl.
And today we're talking about church and mental health.
Ooh.
And to help us out, we have a special guest who has her own podcast, her own ministry. She has her own everything. Miss Cheryl Morton, I'm going to allow you to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Cheryl Morton. I am married to Pastor Eric S. Morton. We have 3 beautiful children who are all adults. Hallelujah. But seriously, I'm a mom. I am a sister. I am a friend. I am, oh Lord, I have many titles, but I'm truly blessed. That's what I am. I'm truly blessed. I'm grateful to God for all that He has done. I've had a whole lot of things going on in my life. And that's why I'm here today. Like he said, I have my own podcast, which is on none other than War Rap Radio, which is in Saluda, South Carolina, the first Black-owned radio station.
Let's go.
With Mr. Foster and Beverly Bird, who runs that station.
Shout out.
They're phenomenal people, very humble people. In 2019, they gave me a call. I'm a poster on Facebook. I am an encourager, and inspirer, and motivator, and they saw my post, and they called me to ask me if I would like to do a podcast. And of course I accepted. Come to find out, Foster is actually my cousin. My mom and his mom are first cousins, so we're pretty close. But God is just doing amazing things. I have a ministry called Finding Me, which was born in 2018, so we will celebrate 5 years next year. I lost my brother tragically in 2014, and went to a really dark place. And again, God is doing some amazing things. So through that, the ministry came, and my focus is to encourage, to inspire, and to motivate women to be all that God has created them to be.
And you say you started your podcast 2018?
2019.
2019.
Yes.
What did you think it was going to be like when you started? Were you think it was going to be easy? Were you excited about it?
I was really excited. I actually didn't know what to expect. I mean, I was like, what in the world? What have I gotten myself into when I actually went? And I was so nervous, and still get nervous when actually I do it. But once I started it and people started listening and watching, and I saw that I was helping people, because that's my passion, to help anybody and everybody that I can. Of course, my ministry is catered towards women, but I just want to help anybody and everyone that I can.
What goes into Finding Me?
Again, the Finding Me came from a dark place, the loss of my brother. I mean, I was really in a dark place. So dark that, again, my husband's a pastor, so on the surface, I was doing well, had to smile, laugh, let everybody see that I was good, but on the inside, I was literally, I thought that I was losing my mind, just because the hurt, the pain, there was so much into that. So during that process, he was killed in 2014, so really, to be honest with you, 2015, I don't even remember half of that year because of the pain that I felt that was so severe. Yeah. But again, having to be this person, because my husband's a pastor, in the limelight, doing a lot of things, I had to, on the surface, be really good and let people think that I was good.
You had to be Superwoman. Just
I
say
had to
it.
be.
Yeah.
Superwoman is an understatement.
Yes, ma'am.
And then during that process, I just began to find myself. And it's a continuous cycle. It's finding me.
Yeah.
I have not found me.
I love
It's a continuous cycle. So I just want to continue to help others, because I made it through with the help of God. It was nobody but God. Of course, I had people praying and all, but it was me and the Lord that was able, that God brought me through.
Yes.
So on each podcast, we have what we call Twitter discussions, basically something that we found on the internet. So based off of what you just said, this goes in really good. You say you was in a dark place in 2014, and because of what transpired with your brother. So I don't know if you've heard this statement in 2014 or not, but this was on Twitter. Well, if you know Jesus, you wouldn't need a therapist. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh God, that's deep. Yeah, actually, I even had a couple of people, not just one, but I actually had a couple of people to tell me, you need to get over it.
No.
Seriously, you are saved. You are filled with the Holy Spirit. You should get over it. You're all right. You should be okay. You got Jesus, so you should be fine. And I literally was looking at them like they were actually crazy.
Yeah.
Because it did take counseling.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I have Jesus, had him then, but I had to have counseling because had I not been able to go through counseling, honestly, even with Jesus, and Jesus was always there, I don't know where I would be right now.
Do people not feel as though God can put counselors in your life or something?
You know what? I honestly don't know. You know what? I will say this. People that have never been through anything such as, the trauma,
Yes.
having someone, your loved one taken from you, they have no idea. And most of those people that were speaking are people that have never dealt with. It's easy for you or me to, look at things that happen in life to see somebody, well, this, give our opinion. But if we've never been through it, then it's just an opinion. We don't know how people will feel. So I think that was somebody that was talking out of term. That's what I would say. And they were saved folks that, have never been through it. So it's easy for somebody to say, I guess I would never tell anybody to get over it. But, that's just, some people.
Because in church they say God will make a way. You never know how that way gonna be made. It may be
That
it may
could
be
include
through,
a therapist,
it,
right?
it could be through therapy.
Right.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, give us the QD of the hour.
QD of the hour. Quotable data. Another version of fun facts, info for you to be able to give your friends, family, colleagues, or church members. Mental health charity K-Hope surveyed 1,079 Christians from various denominations and interviewed dozens of church leaders to reveal some striking findings. Of those polled, 43% had experienced a mental health issue, significantly higher than the 1 in 4 statistic we often hear. Of those, only 35% said their church community had been particularly supportive. More concerning is the 91% who believe mental health remains stigmatized, with more than half saying their church rarely or never spoke about it.
That's when I saw that,
that's
I
a
had to
large
share
number.
that. 91% who believe mental health remains stigmatized. I can't say that that's wrong of them to think that, because I don't really remember hearing it talked about, rarely or ever spoken about, as I was growing up. Now, in recent years, I've heard it more, but never in the 80s.
In churches?
Yeah, in churches.
Okay.
Yeah, never in the 80s, never in the 90s. But in recent years, I've heard a lot more. I feel like people are being intentional about trying to speak about it. They're trying to change it. And now when the survey, I can't remember when the survey was actually given, but it was in the last 3 to 4 years. But obviously we're not doing enough if 91% still believe mental health is stigmatized. And when I think of stigmatism, being stigmatized, I'm thinking they just don't feel comfortable sharing. They don't feel comfortable sharing what it is that they're going through or what's hurting them. And the fact that they need help to get through it. Beyond, I guess, coming to church. So that's, I don't know. Did y'all have any thoughts on that? In addition to what I just spoke about.
You just said that people don't want to share what they're feeling. Is that what you just said?
Well, yeah, don't want to share it from the standpoint of I'm depressed in that term.
Absolutely.
So I think people do have a tendency to come to church and say, I need help, or I'm going through something. But in terms that we've used in mental health, I'm depressed, I have anxiety, or whatever it is that they're dealing with specifically with mental health, I don't think they feel like they can share that with their church community as a whole.
Absolutely, because and I'm a prime example, because again, my husband is the pastor. I mean, so you have people looking at me to be that person that has it all together. So I really felt alone. I mean, of course, I could talk to my husband, but I personally felt like nobody understood, because it didn't happen to them. It wasn't their brother. I couldn't really talk to my mom, because my mom was going through hers. My sister and my niece and nephew, the rest of the family, they had their own things. But as far as the church is concerned, again, these were church people who told me this. You need to get over it. It's been, some months now, get over it. And I'm like, okay, really? So there you talking about the mental health things. The anxiety started. I even had hallucinations. I even started hallucinating. My brother was killed. Someone hit him he was riding a bicycle at night, and someone hit him and left him on the side of the road, not helping him or anything. He laid there for basically a week before they ever found his body. So I'm thinking all these things going on in my mind. So I started, even now I don't like to drive at night. I mean, I don't hallucinate anymore, but I used to actually see like a person, a man on a bicycle riding, and then I would look and nobody was there. So I still have anxiety. Nowhere near like I did, nothing like I did, but certain things do give me anxiety. Actually, there was a service today that my husband is going to, of a young man that passed, and he and my brother were friends. So when I went to the house, it was a trigger. So I literally had to leave and go outside, because I didn't want to upset the family, because I'm upset. So there are triggers when these type of things happen. So the anxiety is still there. Now, I never took medication, and I don't speak against anybody that's, because that's another thing. I think, medication is needed for some people. I just I don't like taking medicine. So I never wanted to take medication. So I just trusted God, really got into my Bible. That I really, really got into my Bible, and that's what brought me through is God and the counseling, like I said, and still have not monthly or anything like that, but still have a yearly thing, the South Carolina Victims Week that we go to. There's counseling sessions doing that, so still have it. There's always a need.
Right.
I think that may be an expectation, maybe, if you're in church, you're coming to church, you're attending, for you to have things worked out. I think maybe, mentally, spiritually, for you to have a strong enough spiritual connection with God that you can make it, you can get through this. And I think maybe that's where some of that was coming from, where people were telling you, get over it. Because it's like this expectation, we not like the world almost. We separate. We got this connection with God. We should be strong enough to handle this, and whatnot. So I think part of that, that expectation can lead to, that as well, that we were talking about. I forgot the exact question, Kirby, that you posed, but that expectation, I think, is strong in the church.
Oh, it's very strong, and we can run people away with it, because you have to actually notice when it's mental health. A lot of people think that, like you just said, and God can do anything and all things, He can, but we have to recognize mental health when we see it. Now, I've had a lot of training, I must say, and that was another thing. I really focused on school. I went and earned 3 degrees after, because I had to have something. That was my way, focusing on school. School was my way of escape. It gave me something to do, to get my mind off of, everything that was going on. So, so I've had a lot of training and stuff. So you have to notice and see mental health. And I will say this, church is, I believe we need church. We should gather together, again, saved, filled with the Spirit, sanctified. But we also have to be honest.
Gotta be honest.
A lot of people don't, in the church will tell you, well, you don't need to talk about that. That's not, we don't, that's, you say we don't do that. It's, it's a lot of that goes on in the churches. And some of the very people that are telling you that, they got mental issues themselves. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And we have to deal with those because if we don't deal with those issues, like I said, I thought I would be in a mental institution. And had I not dealt with them right then, I probably would have been.
And even when you say, you made that statement, we don't do that. Traditionally, you're going to hear that from people who've never experienced therapy or seen anybody in therapy. Right. You're going to hear them say, we don't do that. And then that speaks to what their genuine thoughts are on therapy. I know initially, my thoughts when it came down to therapy was, oh, you had to be crazy to go. And, this is before, I got into studying and trying to become a therapist. But that's not the case. A post, I just pulled it up, that I ran across this week was, seeing a therapist doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Right. It means you may be seeking clarity in some areas of your life, wanting to work through complex emotions. And to speak to what you just, that's a complex emotion. I think it's a scripture that says we're all born to die. Mm-hmm. So that you're in the scripture, that, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be happy with the fact that my brother passed away at the age that he passed away, and at whatever state y'all was in life at that time. So that's complex to have to work through those emotions. Working through a traumatic experience is another reason. People can go challenging negative thinking patterns. You can say negative thinking patterns, or you can even say thinking patterns, because one of the things I hear you say a lot was, I didn't want to affect the family. I didn't want to affect my mom. You're going through your complex emotions, but you're also engaging with people who are dependent on you.
Right.
And so you have to think about how they're going to be affected by my way of expressing myself, so to speak. Then going to a therapist could be learning new techniques to cope with difficult situations, and also to focus on personal growth. So therapy is more than just going because because that person's crazy or because they're dealing with depression or anxiety. But, the funny thing is, I don't know if I should say the funny thing is, but the funny thing is, if we don't deal with some of the transitions in life, some of the crises that we face, then we are going to have to go to a therapist for depression or for anxiety, because we never dealt with some of the complex emotions and different things that we saw and experienced.
That's so true.
Mental health conditions are just as real as common and physical health conditions. They take on many forms and can be fairly mild or interfere in limited ways with daily life. And then there are other conditions that are so severe that one needs to go to the hospital or see a mental health professional in some capacity, because it's affecting their personality, thinking, perception, mood, and or behavior. Again, if we don't address some of the smaller things, then it's going to become a bigger thing, and then we can end up in the hospital. Today, we're going to discuss how church and mental health intertwine through your story as our guest. So, you told us a little bit about finding the podcast and how you started, and a little bit about Finding Me Ministry. Can you just kind of elaborate on the Finding Me Ministry side of it?
Okay. Like I said, the ministry started in 2018, and it was so plain. Oftentimes, I worked in about 20 minutes away from, where I live. And so a lot of those days, I was crying all the way to work, getting myself together. On the way back home, I'm crying all the way home, getting myself together. And on the way home one day, God just clearly gave it to me. I was more, going towards my healing, and God just gave me the words. I heard it so clear. It's Finding Me. This is a ministry where you need to help people because, again, during this process, I lost myself. And there were some things that I didn't even realize that I hadn't even found even before this ever came up. You know, there was some stuff that was there. So the ministry, I started the ministry, and again, it's to empower, to inspire, to motivate women to be all that God has created them to be. Because so oftentimes, if you do statistics of 10 women, I would guarantee you 8 out of those 10 don't even know who they are. And I did that because I actually just left one of my, we have a monthly session of Finding Me. And during that session, I asked that question.
Your monthly sessions is always on the fourth Saturday?
Yes.
So you made a special effort to come be a part of our podcast.
I actually left mine. I did.
We appreciate that.
You're welcome. I left it in good hands. But I just, again, to help women do whatever it is. Like today's lesson was on finances. So we want to help people in any way that we can, whether it's mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I started the page. I actually started on the page, and then we just started after getting out in the community. And when COVID came, God just clearly gave me that, a lot of people were going through financially. They didn't have it. Things were happening. So God just told me I started doing fundraisers and raising money, and I've raised like $17,000.
Oh wow! Congratulations on
that.
Thank
you. And helped people. We helped people pay rent, pay light bill, pay for clothes to go on interviews, pay for a phone bill, just all type of things.
That's big.
Do makeovers for women. I can't even name all of the stuff that we do. And then in 2020, God gave me an assistant. I was doing so much, and the ministry was growing. And Reverend Natasha Gresham, she joined me. She actually is an associate minister of our church. And she saw that I needed help, so she just stepped up to help me, and I thank God for her. She's now I pay her to help me. Excuse me, because the ministry has grown
so much,
and I'm grateful to that. Again, with the podcast, it helps. We recently we had like 28,000 views the first part of this month from the podcast, so it's reaching all over the world. The ministry we. Had someone from Nigeria on to, speak. They speak via phone. So it's been a blessing. It has truly been a blessing. Again, we help people. We do whatever we can. And from that, I had so many women contacted me about, things that they were going through, issues. And see, this is where I'm really big on what you would say, staying in my lane. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a therapist. I'm not trained and licensed to be a therapist or a counselor or any of that. So it was getting, the need was getting there was such a large need that I have now, there's 13 of us. And that's called Focus on Freedom. Out of Finding Me came another ministry called Focus on Freedom. And that is a group of licensed counselors, therapists, spiritual advisors, life coaches. We have a nurse practitioner who is a mental health nurse practitioner. So we have all these ladies, and if somebody calls me that with a situation that I can't help, then I recommend them to them. And we were doing monthly sessions with that, monthly Zoom meetings with that. Now, we haven't did the Zoom meetings lately with, everybody's schedules are busy. But when people come to me, I just, I can't help them. Then I just, recommend the ladies. And this was free. Nobody was charging anything, no money. These ladies do this for free. And that's that's time.
That's time.
That's time,
valuable.
And that's valuable time. And these people get paid for these services, but they offer it. We've helped many people. We have really helped many people.
Is that just for this local area, for the upstate, or all?
No.
South
Now,
Carolina?
one of our ladies is in Philadelphia.
Okay.
One is in Portland, Oregon. We have one Philadelphia, in Columbia, McCormick, Greenwood. So we're spread out. Yeah, we're spread out.
So you have the Finding Me podcast, which you do every Tuesday, right? What was the times again?
6 to 7.
All right, every Tuesday from 6 to 7, and then you have the Finding Me ministry, where y'all are meeting periodically, monthly, to discuss various things, and if people need help, they can share. I mean, they can ask for it. And then out of the Finding Me ministry, you have Focus on
Freedom.
Focus on Freedom.
Freedom of
And
mind.
there, y'all are also providing mental wellness for the most part.
Right.
And it's free.
And it's free.
You out here you're doing some big stuff.
And it's free.
Now, how can they find you?
Of course, we have the Facebook page through Facebook. I'm also on, what do you call it? Instagram.
Okay.
Twitter.
No, I don't have a Twitter. I don't know how to do Twitter. I just have to be honest.
TikTok. I bet you on TikTok.
I have a TikTok.
See?
Okay.
Now, I don't do it much, but my son hooked me up with all that stuff.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to
Shout out to
T.
your
Terrence.
son.
Hey, Terrence.
Yeah, I have my personal photographer, videographer. Our baby son does that, and Terrence is the graphic designer. He does all my flyers. And,
Terrence is dope.
Oh,
So
he's
you got
really
you got a videographer and a photographer
Yes.
in the family.
In the
in the family.
family.
My
Okay.
kids.
Okay.
And my daughter is a makeup artist. So yeah,
So you debo them a lot.
Yes.
All right. So you got all of this going on, and this came from a drive. And this was after 2014.
It was after
So-
I lost my brother.
After you lost your brother, this came from a drive, and Finding Me came to you, and it developed into what it is today. Is it okay? Well, I guess it is okay. You're doing it now. Did you recruit the trained mental health staff that help you with Finding Ministry, or did it just kind of happen?
Yeah, I recruited because, again, as I was going through the process, God, it was nobody but God.
Okay.
I mean, God is the ultimate. God is He made the connections, and we have to recognize the connections when God does it. The therapists were actually ladies that I worked with at John Delahowe. They were therapists
at John
themselves.
Delahowe, too?
I worked
Okay.
at John Delahowe. That's where I met 3 of the ladies, and they were a push even for the school. They helped me, Minister LaTanya Leverett and Tamiko Tutt.
What's John Delahowe? I'm sorry.
It's a school. It used to be a school in McCormick, South Carolina, for kids that had issues with, behavior issues,
Yeah, okay. Mental health
some
issues.
mental health issues. We were a level 2 facility, so with the kids with deeper issues, we couldn't take them. But yeah, I loved my job. Now I made less money there, but I loved what I did because, again, my passion is helping people, and I just want to grow. And those were young people. We helped people from the ages of 12 to 18, and some of those, it's been shut down since 2018, and we still connect with some of those kids. Still connect with with the ladies.
That's rewarding.
Yeah.
So the way that you kind of recruited people to be a part of Finding Me, is it feasible to add people like that to the church staff in the same way that you have done it for Finding Me Ministry, or how could we connect mental health professionals to churches to kind of play in that role?
Well, I think it really depends on the church, and I can honestly say, like I said, down at the magnificent Marshall Chapel Baptist Church,
Go.
96, where my husband is Eric Morton is the pastor. We actually have a Dr. Akila Booza, who is a mental health also specialist there at the church.
That's big.
So, we just lost Mama Doris Brooks, who was really she was actually a spiritual advisor with us. She was like a background that helped us, and she did whatever, talking to ladies and stuff like that. So we actually do deal with it. We deal with it at Marshall Chapel.
I love
it's
it.
an open, communication thing. We try to help. Again, not that everybody has to know, but they do know that the help is there. That we open it up to let people know. And again, people come to me. And again, if it's beyond me, then I'm gonna, just send them over to whoever can help them, whatever type of counseling they need.
Do they go to your husband as well as the pastor? Do they go to him
yes.
as well? Because
Yes.
I feel like traditionally, like in those Southern Baptist and Holiness and AME churches, I feel like the pastor is almost like the spiritual counselor,
Yes.
right? In a lot of
yes.
these churches, I think what would be really dope is if if there was someone, even if you didn't have someone on staff, like a mental health professional, but if you had someone that the pastor, when he saw, his spiritual wisdom, this is something that mental health could facilitate, maybe even a little better than him, having someone he could reach out to,
having like resource, which is again what you're doing already. Having resources available, kind of at his fingertips. Oh, okay, this is kind of beyond my scope of interest or scope of experience. So let me send you to this person. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Well, you even talk about for him too, though, right? Is that what you said?
Oh, for the
him
pastor?
But no, I was talking about for those members that are coming to him,
Yes.
because I'm sure he can speak to a lot of what they have going on, but maybe not everything.
And that's one thing that I appreciate about my husband. He knows, again, if it's a mental health issue, then we're going to recommend. We're going to, because you're dealing with people's lives and you don't want to just try to fix something that you can't fix. And of course, like I said, Jesus can do it all, but you also, and he preaches it from the pulpit, Jesus can do it, but it's okay to have counseling. He and I have had marital counseling. I mean, we have a really great marriage. I thank God for it, but marriage is work. It's work, and we have some spiritual parents that if we need to talk to them about whatever, we can go talk to them, and we're not afraid. See, a lot of people that have counseling don't want anybody to know that they've been to counseling. Nobody is perfect. Everybody has issues.
Which is happening with the it being stigmatized, right?
Right.
If you don't want nobody to know that you went and got counseling,
Right.
then you in essence saying there's something wrong with it because you didn't want nobody to know.
Yeah, but do you know how many people?
Well, I know.
Yeah, of course you do. There are a lot of people
know.
that don't want anybody to know. And again, you got 10 people, 8 of them need counseling. I mean, that's maybe a little high, but I'm just saying everybody has some type of issue. And counseling is simply talking to somebody. I mean, it's simply sharing your story with somebody and people giving you tools to work with for you to take home with you and to work on it. Now, it's not for you to, I come to you and you give me these tools and I just put them in my pocket and do nothing with them. I'm not trying to I don't want help if I'm doing that. But I got to, apply these rules or apply these, whatever this information that you're giving me, I need to apply these.
I feel as though some pastors might be afraid of, their members they might look at it as, like worldly advice. But if you got somebody like Curvin who's in the church, who's in the church and active in the church, but also a mental health counselor, that's someone that maybe a pastor could feel like he could count on. So connecting with people like you, Curvin,
right.
Who operates in both, in both domains, I feel like it's like a resource.
Yeah.
That black churches can tap into.
Yeah. Or
need to.
What would you say? Her name was Dr. Boozer, somebody like that. Because it's again, you can only compartmentalize so much. Right. You can't necessarily disconnect. So I can't disconnect from my upbringing of church, religion, spirituality. I can't disconnect from that. So some of that's gonna seep into it. Now I don't advertise myself as a Christian counselor because I'm doing mental health counseling. But if a Christian comes to me, I have the capability of having a Christian conversation.
Definitely.
Because I had that background.
You can understand probably some of their stressors,
right?
And things
along with church and stuff like that.
That could come along with practicing their being a Christian. Yeah.
I want to touch on that right quick. That's so important that what you just said, because I actually had someone to come to me that needed help, and it was a mental health issue that they needed. So of course I knew it was beyond me. So I reached out to one of the counselors, and the first thing she told me, and I love this, I love this, and she said to me, well, you know what, Cheryl, I explained the situation. She said, that's beyond me. Because what I would tell her is things textbook. She needs godly counseling along with the textbook. And I so appreciated her for telling me that, because she could have clearly just gave her all textbook, but because she recognized that there was some mental health issues in that, she told me she needed the Christian counseling. She needs someone that knows the Lord, that is has Jesus and a counselor at the same time. Not that she doesn't have Jesus now, but I'm saying that are trained in that particular field. Because she said all I would give her is textbook. And she needs a deeper, And I appreciated that, because a lot of people would just take on, especially when you bring money and money is involved, they'll just take on people, because they trying to get paid.
Yeah.
You got to have a heart for me. And all of the ladies that are part of the Focus on Freedom have hearts. They have hearts for people. They have heart for what they're doing. They care about what they're doing. So for me, that was a big thing before these ladies came on, or I asked them to be a part of the Focus on Freedom. They had to care what they were doing.
You
That's a good point.
said something earlier that brought my mind to this. We talking so much about the people who are the members of the church, but what about the faith leaders? Do they have, outside of, they can go do their own research, but are their resources being kind of tapped in with them and making sure that faith leaders are connected with mental health professionals? Because, in recent years, we've seen faith leaders commit suicide.
A lot.
And,
You saying faith or fake?
Faith.
I'm
Faith
sorry.
leaders, okay.
Faith leaders.
Understood.
No, not fake. That's a whole nother podcast.
That's what I thought he said at first.
But faith leaders. I'm sorry.
It still sounds like he's saying.
Okay.
Well, we know what you're saying.
Faith, Faith. I spell it out too. But faith leaders, are they being tapped in, or are they tapped into other resources from just from where you sit? Do you see that happening for faith leaders?
Do I see it?
Do you see people? I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's companies. I don't know if it's conferences, because y'all have conferences y'all go to and stuff like that. Are that they being represented in those places so that faith leaders know, okay, I can reach out to this person or this company?
I'm just trying to think some of the. I think it's more. You see it more in the churches now, because people are recognizing it and they're seeing it, and now in the past, no. You didn't see much of it, but now churches are beginning to see that there's a need and there's a help. So I think that the leaders are actually connecting with people to get these people help, because to me, it depends on the leader. That's just a big, because you got some people who there are some leaders in the church who.
Watch out, no, sir.
I'm a realist. I'm transparent. I'm just real. People may not like it, but there are some people who don't even believe in counseling. They don't think, they think you just need Jesus, that, he is the only answer. And God is, please don't take that, twist my words and take it. Of course, God is the ultimate, but we need, that's why God gives us man, to teach us these things and to listen to, again, like I said, to apply. So I think it depends on the faith leader. It just depends on who you ask and who you talk to, what church you go to, and you talk. I don't know if this statistics was just from the black church, but there's
that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother open conversation, I think, because again, the black church and the white church are totally different. Because again, you said earlier, growing up and where I've raised, you would just say, "Oh, they just crazy." That's all you hear. Oh, they just
got
crazy.
bad nerves.
Yeah, they got. That's it. They taking nerve pills or something like that. They just never dealing with mental issues or mental health. When these people really had truly, whether it was bipolar, schizophrenic, or whatever the situation, but we just want to label them crazy, and not just and not deal with the real issues. And in the black homes growing up, you've always, what goes on in the house stays in the house. And a lot of the issues are in the house. It comes from the home. It comes from things, that happen inside the homes. The abuse, we deal with abuse, molestation. There's so much. Like I said, Finding Me deals with so much. We've had so many people to come in and speak on all these things who've never spoke about the abuse that they, dealt with growing up.
Dealt with
from
witness.
A witness, So it's just, again, it depends on the leader. I know I went all the way around for that question, but
No, it's
it
okay.
just depends on the leader and the church.
And
That's what I
again,
believe.
to speak on the abuse, everything that we receive, these experiences that we receive, our brain is going to process them in some manner.
Mm-hmm.
It would behoove us to reach out to someone to ensure that we appropriately process things that are traumatic, things that are happening to us that would be quote unquote out of the norm. Because sometimes you don't realize how you processed it until you lash out at somebody, until you're triggered in such a way that you respond inappropriately in that given situation. So it would behoove us if people seeing abuse, witnessing abuse, to just go and speak with a mental health professional so that they can appropriately process what's coming to them, what they experience.
Right.
Josh, you had any more just questions you got to get out there?
Well, not so much a question. I just think a good deliverable from this, or a good takeaway, would be, I think inquiring, with your pastor or with your church, if y'all have someone like that, a point person that that members can go to outside of that pastoral conversation, if you have someone like that, or about the possibility of it. Not necessarily having to have someone in the church that's doing it. You can have someone like Curvin, who's not in your church, or someone like the sister that you brought up earlier. But I just think that's a resource. That's a resource.
Right.
When you're going through things that that may require a little more. So I think that's a good deliverable. That's something that I would recommend.
So this is my last question for you before we get out of here. How can we just have a common and reoccurring conversation about mental health in the church? Not on a podcast, not in a community setting, but in the church. How can we have that reoccurring conversation so that people feel like it's okay?
I think it's up to leadership. I mean, that's how you have the conversation. That's the only way you can have it. You have to, because there's an order. You have to. You would have to talk to the leadership of the church, the pastor, or the board, whoever it is that handles all that stuff. So it's important that they know.
Which is different for each church.
Which is
right?
different
Yeah.
for each church. And again, you can't have someone that wants to control everything, because a lot of people, like I said earlier, if they want to control it, they don't want anybody else helping them anyway, because they don't think they need the help. So if you have the pastor or the people to get on board and to agree to having these people that that they'll share, I don't know, the responsibility, or just, again, you have to look within yourself to realize, hey, I can't handle this stuff. That issue may be too big for me. I need to send them to someone else. So I think it's important that churches, every single church, big, middle, small, I don't care whether you got 5 people in your congregation or you got 5,000, you need those type of people in those resources that can help people go, because again, people go through issues whether we want to admit it or not. Everybody in this room or across the world has been through something that they needed to share with somebody else. Now, does that mean everybody has a mental health issue? No. But I do believe there are periods in our lives, like, I didn't have one until this trauma happened in my life. And then again, I talked about the hallucinations, and all this type of anxiety, and still have it sometimes. It's, good, but it's needed. That's the thing. We have to admit to ourselves first that, hey, I need this help. I need somebody. I can't suffer in silence by myself, because that's what's happening. I'll tell you, with this ministry, it'll be 5 years in March, and that's what I'm seeing. People suffering in silence. First of all, because they are afraid to share their information because they're scared somebody's going to tell their business. It's a trust issue. I mean, and unfortunately, that's, again, what I've seen. in my 5 years of doing this particular Finding Me ministry, people don't trust people. They because there's too many people that have, they went to and their business was told, and a lot of times, let me say this as far as the pastor is concerned, a lot of times people have never even spoken to the pastor. Pastor ain't never talked to them, and they'll swear the pastor preaching about them, but they ain't never even spoke about them. That happens, but that's just the Holy Spirit talking. You're stepping on toes. But there are some people that will tell your business. So you have to, pray that you can, God is going to send you to the right person that you can confide in, that you can get the help. But you have to first recognize that there is an issue.
I will say too, that would be all the more reason to go see a mental health professional. That's in our code of ethics, not to share any information. So you can come and tell me that I really hate my wife's toes, and I can't go back and tell your wife. I can't tell anybody, and I got to keep that to myself. And should I do, or should I share that with somebody? If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this. You can sue me, because I'm not. That's a part of our code of ethics. That's HIPAA. I'm not supposed to be sharing any information. So that's all the more reason to come and speak with me about X, Y, and Z. Because I can't take it anywhere unless, of course, you're going to harm yourself or you're going to harm other people. Then I have a duty at that point to notify the powers that be so that we can keep everybody safe. All right, so. The magnificent Marshall Chapel. Okay. When are their hours of service?
Our service we actually start prayer at 8:30. We have a prayer before Sunday school. Sunday school starts at 9, and service starts at 10. We have what we call an hour power, but my husband says an hour plus. Because we allow the Holy Spirit to have His way. We are a Baptist church, but we are 5-4 ministries. We just allow God to do what He does, and we would love to have you there. Focus on freedom. We're getting back into that with our ladies. Like I said, we're recommending that people come to me. Finding Me is the page is up every day. You can go on there. I'm always trying to inspire, to encourage. And let me say this right quick. There's one thing. Again, I talk about real life issues. I don't sugarcoat things. A lot of people won't. Even in being inspired, our feet have to be stepped on sometimes. There's an ouch. If I don't ouch you, because at first it had to come to me first. I had to have an ouch. We'll never be fixed. We can't fix what is broken if we don't have the truth. People don't like the truth. So that's one thing that Finding Me, I'm going to speak the truth. I truly try to listen to God and have God to guide me. Now, do Cheryl come out sometime? Yeah.
No.
Cheryl does. And I'm the first to tell you, Cheryl does. But I really strive, and that is the truth. Anybody that knows me, I strive to listen to God's voice and do what thus says the Lord. So
there you go.
That's just my goal. And again, the podcast is every Tuesday on War Rap Radio. From 6 to 7, so we'd love you guys to tune in. Next week, Tuesday, we'll have a young lady who wrote a book. She's a new author and a new, she has a new pastor, so she'll be on. So we bring a variety of people on the show. We've had all type of people, like I said, from all over the world on the podcast. We just want people to know what's going on in the community, the resources that are available if people are needing whatever they're needing. We just want to help people.
And y'all Facebook Live too, right?
Yes,
okay.
we are Facebook Live, but of course you can go back and listen. Yeah. So it's really good. I'm excited. My job, I'm doing some major things globally across the world. God is doing some really great things.
Amen.
So how did it feel not being the host, but kind of having all the questions kind of come at you? Because normally you the one.
Yeah.
Leading the conversation. How was that?
It was different. Very, very different. Very, very different. I appreciate you guys for even, thinking of me to have me on. I really appreciate it. And thank you.
I think it's befitting too. These paintings we got up here, church and mental health, and we got these black church paintings.
Yeah. So we're at the art center here in Greenwood, and they have the Gullah exhibit here. And what's the artist?
It's a couple of
Jonathan Green is the artist, and so he
crazy
has
one over there,
yeah,
too,
he got a lot of
Insane.
them. Winston, I don't know if you can show them that congregation that's out there, but it's some really neat
That was
paintings.
the first thing I noticed when I came in. I actually told your wife, I was
Yeah.
like, that is beautiful.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the first thing that I
Yeah.
saw, the picture behind us.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
we put it up just for this episode. Just for no, I'm just
He
messing.
is lying. Now, how you gonna lie to the first lady
I
like
said
that?
I'm messing with them.
All right.
I love it.
You know.
Thank
love
you,
it.
thank you,
Yes.
thank you for coming out and talking with us and sharing your knowledge
Definitely.
with us. Please go check her out on Finding Me, the podcast, Finding Me Ministries for young ladies, and also focus on freedom. Focus on freedom. Man, she got a lot going on. And don't forget to go visit the magnificent Marshall Chapel.
Yes, we would love to have you.
sure.
Tomorrow we're having potluck.
All right.
No,
We're
not tomorrow.
Everybody gonna show up.
What is it? For Black History, we're closing out. Doing African attire, old school, dress, but we're having old school potluck. So guys, come on out and share with us.
Somebody gonna be eating good, real good. All right, let's talk about it. The platform, questions to make you think about life, health, family, culture, and so much more. Follow Joshua Williams.
Garvey Williams.
Yeah, I always want to say Young Garvey.
I appreciate it.
Young Garvey. But anyway, check him out on YouTube and all his various social medias. Subscribe to Speaking with Gravity on Facebook and Instagram. We'll make it easy for you and put it in your notes. And for all your event needs, check out 6-1 Event Rentals. If y'all ever need somebody at the church, you probably know some other people. But anyway, 6-1 Event Rentals, they got a 360 booth. And you do the pictures and stuff, and they got the red carpet.
6-1.
Yeah.
Shop with them.
So check them out. Visit Kodak Ready. D can help people navigate to unexpected and challenging transitions through solution-focused approach. And then Gravity Counseling Group, which is I'm the owner of a private practice called Gravity Counseling Group, and we provide wellness. A free wellness group for men only.
Oh, wow,
See, you
that's
got one for
I love
women.
that.
You got one for the men. Fourth Monday of each month. The fourth Monday of each month, and it's over at the Greenwood Center. It's not recorded. It's not on Facebook because we want that safe
Private,
space
safe.
and the privacy of the safe space.
Right.
So you're gonna have to actually come and attend. Now there are some that are out there online, Instagrams and all of that for men. But it's not as private as mine would be. But anyway, shout out to Mr. Winston for holding it down on the audio and the visual productions. Check him
sir.
on winstonjstewart.com. He's all over the place recording, taking pictures of everything Greenwood related and Carolinas. Thank y'all for taking the time to listen. Did I miss anything?
Think you hit it, man.
Okay.
Think you hit it.
All right, because she done told him about potluck and everything. So, thank y'all for taking the time to listen. You could be doing anything in the world right now, and we appreciate that because y'all chose to listen to us. Remember, I'm a therapist, but this is a therapy. It's a podcast.